Hello keto friends and family and those of you that just like to hear me talk, or maybe you clicked on this link because you're having some stress. So I'm wearing a shirt that is too small for my son because he's super tall and not big. He's not this way, he's that way. But I found it, so thought I'd wear it. Today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about stress, primarily for two reasons, I guess, that have come up. One, if you guys don't follow her already, Tamra over at Keto in the Chaos just dealt with a whole bunch of weight gain, and she didn't know why she gained weight, and she was not feeling great about it. And then the other part is for my daughter, who deals with it every single term. Let me kind of set the stage for this, and in the next video we'll actually talk about how to reduce it. But in this video I really wanted to talk about why and how we get stressed. I think oftentimes when we think about stress and how it impacts us, we think about long days at the office, or we think about possibly financial stress, those sorts of things. But stress can really come from a lot of different places. So you have three different types of stress. You have physical stress, which could be from over-exercising. It could be from an injury. If you have, if you take a fall or you break a leg, something like that, that is going to increase stress in your body. Because remember, stress isn't just a feeling or emotion. Stress is an actual biological impact where cortisol, which is a hormone, actually floods your system. And we'll kind of talk about that in a second. The other type of stress that you may come across is mental stress. This could be maybe from more like you work hard all day, you've had a bunch of stuff to do, a lot of time spent using your brain and kind of overexerting your brain instead of just your physical body, and until you're basically exhausted, so that type of stress. And then thirdly, there is emotional stress, and I think that's the one we forget about. Sometimes we'll think about that, like if you're fighting with a loved one, you may think, oh yeah, I'm a little stressed because my relationships aren't what they should be. But another huge impact on your body that you may not think about is when you have a huge life change. This could be a positive life change, like me recently. It's positive and sad at the same time. This past weekend I dropped off my son at college, and it's hard, maybe you've had a loved one pass away, which is a negative, obviously. And these types of changes in our lives are normal. They're things that are going to happen to you, sadly. That's just kind of the way things go. Life doesn't continue on the same. It always changes. And a lot of times when we have these major life changes, it could even be moving to another place, then our body does go under stress a lot of the times. Not every time, but most of the time, especially if it's a huge life change. Maybe you had a baby, and having the baby is a big physical stress if you're the girl, but the leaving that baby behind, if you decide to go to work after your medical leave is up or whatever, that can really cause you a lot of stress. So what does that mean? And what that means as far as chemically goes, or what's going on in your body, is your body has something in it called cortisol. As I said a little bit earlier, that's a hormone that floods your system when it feels it's under stress. Now, your body doesn't know the difference between physical, emotional, or mental. Because if it did, that would probably help us immensely. So what happens is your body gets flooded with cortisol, and the cortisol in your body tells your body to actually release glucose into your bloodstream wherever it can find it, because it thinks that you are under attack. And in order to survive, you need to have the energy, and it needs to be fast, accessible energy to run away, right? To either fight whatever it is or to run away, which is where we get that flight or fight saying from. That's where that comes from. So having a lot of glucose in your bloodstream is really helpful in those instances where we have to fight or run. But if we aren't fighting and we're not running, then we don't use that glucose. Okay? So what happens then is that means then your body has to pump out insulin to help bring that glucose back down. And so what will happen a lot of times even is we'll end up pumping a ton of insulin in our body, and then we start having that roller coaster, much akin to being a carb eater, of these huge swings of up and down as your body's trying to regulate this. And you can imagine if you're under chronic stress for a whole day at a time, a whole week at a time, a whole month at a time, then you're literally just having these huge swings. And we know that when insulin is pumped into the body, anytime you have insulin floating around, you're going to store fat. So yes, you are going to put on some water weight, but legitimately, stress can cause actual fat gain as well. Now the good news is it isn't going to necessarily be permanent, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a lot, but it can be a pretty good amount if you're under chronic stress. So learning the difference about that, and recognizing and understanding that, hey, I'm about to go into a situation in my life that is pretty stressful. What do I need to do to help minimize the damage? And I'm going to talk all about some different things you can do, eat, and supplements you can take in the next video. But some preventative things as well is, number one, get plenty of sleep. Make sure that you are exercising gently, especially once that stress has began, because as I said, there is physical stress. So if you're doing HIIT, which is high intensity impact training, that's probably not your best thing while your body is already under stress, because that's what HIIT does, is it pushes your body into a physical stress. So try to do some more gentle exercises to prepare for that. And above all, know that your weight is gonna go up. It's just going to. You can be eating the same exact thing, working out the same amount, even if you don't follow my advice and you continue to work out, it's not gonna matter. If you have that stress in your system, you are gonna gain weight. And it may be half a pound, it could be a lot more depending upon how insulin resistant or how insulin sensitive you are as an individual. You can order a cortisol testing kit on Amazon. You guys can check that out. There's boxes, kits that you buy, you spit in it throughout the day, send it off, and it'll tell you how much cortisol is in your system if you're curious. But, and that would probably be for if you're under chronic, to see if you're under chronic stress. But I think the biggest thing I wanted to help you to understand is that your weight's gonna go up when you're under stress, so don't stress about the weight, because it will come back off. And it'll come off pretty quickly. Like I said, there is a chance that some of it is actually fat, which I know always kind of freaks us out, but you'll lose that fat fairly quickly once all your systems get up and going. It's very possible, if you do live a ketogenic lifestyle, that you will also be kicked out of ketosis due to the amount of cortisol in your bloodstream. and then the glucose, which we all know if glucose is in your bloodstream, your body will go ahead and run off that instead of ketones, which is going to make us not as efficient of a fat burner in the first place. So sometimes just moving back into ketosis helps to eliminate any of that excess fat. So you'll gain water weight and you may gain some actual fat weight during that time. So don't weigh yourself, because then you're just creating this vicious cycle, because now you're stressed about whatever's happening in your life, whether it's dropping a kid off at college, finals, midterms, maybe you have a big project looming at work, maybe you're having some financial difficulties, or you're fighting with your spouse. Go ahead and tuck that scale away for a little while until you get things managed and under control. I'm not saying to give up on your keto journey. Continue to eat the way that you know you should be eating, because that's a whole nother video, but you definitely want to stay within your lifestyle because that's really healthier for you. But put the scale away, try to get some good sleep, take a bath, and then watch my next video if you're already under that stress on some things to help get you back running normal as quickly as possible. All right, guys, have a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye.